Do I consider myself more of an entrepreneur artist? I would like to say that I would say that I'm kind of in the middle. I'm definitely an artist. I'm definitely a very, very creative person. But at the same time, I like my business to be straight, and I like to explore different business options, that my creativity leads me to. So I would say I'm right smack in between. Yes, I actually did have a regular job before my career as a producer. I actually worked like 25 jobs, and that's not being funny. I actually did work 25 jobs. But I work from everywhere from like pizza place, mail rooms to a place called Train where I was building air conditioning units for houses, and Mervin's, which was a clothing store back in Waco. I've done it all. The point that I knew I could survive on music was the point that I wasn't surviving on music, and I was forced to survive on music. And what I mean by that is like I quit my job, like my 9-to-5 job, corporate job, maybe 2 years prior to actually me getting my first big placement, which was Power. And man, those were some rough times, but during those times is when I made the proper adjustments, whether it be saving more money, paying bills off, doing away with the luxury things like no cable and all these little things that positioned me to be able to live off my music. I got the Power placement from doing work with one of my best friends now, who is Ron Fest. He works with Kanye a lot. He co-wrote Jesus Walks and Glory, John Legend and Common. He co-wrote that as well. But I was working with him on this project. It was a situation to where he wanted to buy 4 beats from me, but he was at the end of his budget on this project, so he could only pay me for 2 of the beats. I gave him those 2 and told him to pay me for the 2 beats and just you can have the other 2. And a couple months later, that translated to him being in the studio with Kanye, and he told me to send some beats over. If he get the opportunity, he'll play them for him. I sent him the beats, didn't hear back from him for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks he hit me up, he sent me a text. The text said, Kanye is loving your stuff. He said he's about to change your life. The next day I got an email from Don C, which was Kanye's manager at the time, and he told me to get to the airport. My flight leaves for Hawaii in 3 hours. And that led to me going out to Hawaii, working with Kanye, getting the Power placement, signing to Kanye's production team. Was over there for about 3 years, and that's how it came about. The process of building my brand was and how it impacted my business. That's a key step in actually building my business. Like a brand is something that people connects to. So I know personally with me, just what I represent, and just positivity and like my one of my sayings is pray, focus, plan, execute. That was kind of part of my brand, and that's what people connected to, and that's a representation of me. So I always felt like in building a brand, it has to be believable and it has to connect to people, and that's what my brand did, and that's what I pushed forward with, and people connected to it, and that's how I continue to grow every day. The best advice, I would say, I received tons of advice from so many people in the industry and not in the industry. I would say one of the best things someone told me, and that was my man's Ron Fest, after the Kanye situation. He told me, he basically told me that now that since he was able to bless me with this situation, now it's my time to bless others, and that stuck with me. So that's why that's why I'm able to pull a good cat like Lone Star in, and my man's Epic and Jamil and all these other people I work with, and open up doors so they can live out their dreams, is because of what he embedded in me. The first thing in starting a career as a producer that I would say would be to hone in on your craft. Like it has to be you have to be competitive, and the product just has to be good. I always say, like, if you have a good product, at some point somebody is gonna latch on to it. So first thing will be to build a product. Like get in the studio and do it over and over and over, and make it better and better and stronger, and become faster and become smarter in everything, just grow in every aspect of delivering the product. Thing that kept me in my market, first of all, is the cost of living in Texas is amazing, you know, so big ups that. And then the second thing is like the way I'm wired is like I like to go to LA, be there for 2 weeks nonstop, but then with me, like my peace is more important than being in this whirlwind 24/7. So it's like go out there, work, and come back to my peace to where I have my family and I can work in my own pace. You know, so that's pretty much the reason for me staying in a slower market like Texas, you know, to where I could still actually have a life and live. So some of a mistake that I avoided along the way of my career, I would say is like me being linked with a very good attorney who is a very great at what they do, but also is just a great person, because in that aspect, he looked out for me in so many instances. So I didn't have to deal with a lot of, you know, you hear about a lot of younger producers going through things contractually that they may not agree to, or they may have signed and jumping into something being desperate or whatever. But that's one of the things I never really went to, because I've always had like my man's Matt or the proper management watching over and looking over me and actually like educating me as we're going through the process. So I bypassed a lot of that. My daily lifestyle is waking up in the morning about 7 every morning, eating breakfast, you know, listening to something positive. I love listening to different podcasts and, you know, meditation and prayer and those types of things. And then I hit the studio about 9 a.m. till about 7. And at about 7, I go in the back, jump in the pool, or chilling with my wife or my son, or going over to my parents' house and wake up the next morning and repeat. So my son been producing since he was 9 years old. So he's been in for a while. And prior to him making beats at 9, like he was always around me, always in the studio, always just being a part of, even when we didn't know he was being part, he was observing, he was looking and at certain things that I was doing. So he picked up on that early. So I had the privilege early on of just showing him stuff as my process grew and as my career grew. I was able to share information with him along the way of the journey. So, and he was one of those persons that always just absorbed that information. So something that I tell my son that possibly didn't get told of me was, everybody's not your friend in the industry, you know, and you know, that's just what it is. Like, go into each situation as a business situation. Now, that can turn into a relationship with somebody, but never think that somebody is approaching you or wanting your services just because of you. Like that, there's most of the time there's a hidden agenda, but like I say, that can be broken once you build with them and a relationship is built. Some of my business ventures besides music, well, actually I have other business adventures, but most of them still contains with music. Like I do one-on-one consultants with other producers. I do, of course, I do like the sound kits and samples, which is, you know, not actually in music, but it's a part of my music. I'm about to do something called the S1 Assembly, which is me touring in cities, and it's like a 4-hour event where people, producers, artists, songwriters come, and I just educate, and we have forums and we talk about these things that they may not know, you know, based on my personal experience and my personal experience in what I do as a music producer, and you know, and just get more detailed into things like the business side and the creative side, and just to be able to share this information. So that's another thing I do, and just constantly just building off of those things every day. This is my plaque room. Some of these plaques. So my this plaque right here was this plaque right here was my first plaque, and it's the platinum plaque for Power, Kanye West. And yeah, that was that plaque is special to me because that was like my first plaque. Like as producers, you know, we always have dreams of having platinum plaques or gold plaque on our wall, and I was blessed to be able to produce that with Kanye and get that plaque. And then from that plaque, it led to this plaque, which was basically the plaque for Power too, but it was for the album. You know, since Power being on the album, I got that plaque. And then after that, was Watch the Throne. We worked on Watch the Throne. I had the privilege and honor of going to Australia and London with Jay and Kanye to work on the Watch the Throne album, and did a song called Murder to Excellence on there, which got that plaque. And while working with them, Beyonce was with us because Jay was with us, so that led to me working on this album with Beyonce on the 4 album, and doing this song called Best Thing I Never Had. And that was her second single from the 4 record. Like I said, I think it's double platinum now. Yeah, double platinum. And I got this because the album went platinum, and I produced the Best Thing I Never Had on that. And then this is probably like my biggest plaque. It's at 4 million, or actually I think it's at 5 now. 5 million. This is the Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP2. I produced a song called Bad Guy, which is the intro song on that album. Yeah, these are just Grammy nomination plaques for Yeezus and Marshall Mathers LP2. This is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. This is for Power, and this is for Watch the Throne. I wouldn't say that the new streaming has affected, but I'm glad that they actually kind of revamped that because everything is different now. Like with CDs, of course, not selling like they used to when these albums were. So yeah, I think it's a great thing because like you have to kind of adjust everything based on where we're at now, you know. So it's a great thing. I'm seeing producers get, you know, 2, 3, 4 time platinum plaques for work that they've done. So good thing.